I am Sylvari. 25 years ago, my people first appeared in Tyria. The pale tree flowered, and the firstborn awakened. The dream contains my race's memories. We gain awareness here, and then awaken into the world. The dream fills me with knowledge, and is my connection to others. It is my inspiration, my guiding light. While here, I have discovered my purpose, to face evil and destroy it. Even now, I sense my destiny calling me to awaken. My time is soon. Nature and goodness are under siege. All life hangs in the balance. If Tyria is to survive, it will need us. If we fail, the dream will be consumed by nightmare, and Tyria will wither and die. I dream of voyages. The voices of my people whisper to me of far-off places and mysterious shores. A white stag races before me, brave and wild. It offers me the gift of freedom. The dream hints at my future. There are distant lands and dangerous challenges, but also I see my home. A grove with a white tree and friends who will stand by me when I need them. My honor dictates that I help those who are lost and alone. I am their protector. I hear my name in the wind, and I feel the call of my future. And yet, I sense darkness approaching. Something intrudes upon the dream. It blocks the path to my awakening. Before I can enter the world, I must first face this evil and vanquish it. I'm summoned by the dream. This is my story.
Oh god, that skull I picked, it does not look good. Hello everybody, and welcome to Let's Play Guild Wars 2. Hello, yes, and we're also a Sylvari now, as you may have noticed. So I've made a new character. It's been a while since we did some of the episodes of the LP. I kind of took a bit of a break there from the char stuff. We will return to the char and the human things, but because it's been a while... Excuse me, Kay. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. But because it's been a while since we did some episodes, I thought it would be nice if when I came back to this, I tried it on a new character so we could kind of progress back through. So we have seen the char stuff, we have seen the human stuff, and we will be returning to them. They're kind of in the same place with their stories at the moment. In the orders of Tyria, we'll soon be approaching them, or in the case of the char, already have, and they're going to make kind of a big decision soon. It's always kind of been my intention to show all the races, so I figure going with a Sylvari is pretty good. Sylvari, really, I wasn't too keen on them before the game came out, honestly, but I've gone back before doing this LP and kind of been reading a lot of the blogs and stuff and kind of immersing myself back into all their lore, and I've got to say, as time's gone by, I think the Sylvari probably are one of the better races in the game, particularly for their lore and the intrigue and mystery about them. As much as I kind of don't agree with their aesthetic, I would have preferred them if they were a lot more entish. So this is our character. She's called Arachnia. I've picked this character because, in truth, about a week ago, just over a week ago, I made a Sylvari Necromancer just to play through on my own, and then I realised I kind of wanted to LP on it. So what I've done is kind of sort of remade the character so we can see the introductory tutorial here, and then we'll be playing on my Necromancer that I made about a week ago as a Sylvari, which looks pretty much exactly like this. She's called Arachnia. She's named after one of the more obscure pieces of lore in Guild Wars to do with like this kind of hint or mystery, a fallen spider god that like preceded Abaddon, if you guys are aware of all the stuff to do with the gods. It's some of my favourite lore in the game. It's some of the more interesting weird stuff, and I think Arachnia kind of fits the Sylvari name, so I've kind of gone with that and tried to make her look a bit like a spider, so you'll have to excuse it if it's not the most appealing looking Sylvari. The point is she's just meant to look a bit like a spider. So yeah, we'll be playing on a Necromancer. I'm quite excited to show you guys off all of the Sylvari stuff. Right now, we are in the Dream. So Sylvari are these plant people, as you're probably aware, but they're not born, because they're plant people, they're not born in any kind of conventional method. Right now, we're not really even on Tyria. We're in some weird magical realm that we don't quite understand right now. So we're going to have a bit of an explore of it and see what we can find. There's like these spirits here.
Begin such a very large journey. Live well
yep, okay,
and
so there's
and waste nothing. Each day is a gift.
It's squishy.
So we've got this big centaur guy here. Obviously, we've seen centaurs as human. No centaurs that look like this, not quite so furry. In fact, you can barely see him. The lighting's a bit shit here. But this is Ventari. He's kind of... Whether he knew it or not, he had a big influence on this race. He's dead. He died a long time ago. He was actually a character we saw in Guild Wars 1. But he believed in peace. He wasn't a centaur that wanted to fight with the humans. And a lot of his beliefs he wrote down on a stone tablet that years later the Sylvari would awake to, and it would shape them as a race themselves. So he's pretty cool, and we get to see how he's influenced us in kind of a physical way here. We got lots of dreamers, other Sylvari that are sitting about. I suppose we're a dreamer too. We got a woman here called Gw2, who says, "Hello, sunshine. Did you see this? I'm not sure what it is, but I think it's delightfully strange. Very interesting." So there's a quaggan here. I can't remember. Have I shown you guys the quaggan in the LP yet? These are a cool kind of underwater race. They're a bit of a cult hit, I suppose, for people in Guild Wars 2. Like the community, people love the quaggan. So there's one here, and these Sylvari are wondering what the hell it is, what's going on. I think if you stand around here long enough, the quaggan does start to do stuff, and they talk about how it's all cute and squishy and things, which is pretty cool. But as ever, the dialogue in the game, you can't stand about waiting for it for too long. So there's probably more stuff that we can speak to. There's some more dreamers around here. We're going to get led on a general kind of trail. There's someone calling us over there, that woman called Gw2 here. There's some brutes here, some Orions attacking, which is never good. And they're fighting one another. So this is all influencing us. Yes, I can see you, Gw2. Hello.
Ox, take up the bounty of the land. Anything can be a weapon if you have the courage to fight.
So here they're teaching us about environmental weapons. I don't think any of the other tutorials do that, do they? Maybe the Norn one does, because you got the bit with the hunting. That's kind of interesting. Anyway, Gw2's here, some character. We're going to speak to her. Meet our new kind of Ritlock/Logan character.
Gw2, I need your help. Can you hear me where you are within the dream?
Within the dream? What does that mean? Why do you look transparent?
I am Interior, a land far away. Soon you'll awaken here, but for now you live in the dream. I can't explain right now. We must hurry. Something is poisoning the dream.
Poisoning the dream? Of course, I will do whatever I can to help you. But why me?
Your spirit is strong. Do not underestimate yourself. Head to the far embankment, and I'll meet you there.
Okay, sure thing. I can't help but find it interesting that she describes the dream, like Tyria, as a place far away from the dream. Like, I suppose that could just be a metaphorical comment, but I also kind of like the idea that this is a physical place in the universe. It's just a long way away. The dream's kind of... it's almost like a realm in the mists. They kind of give you this impression that the dream exists within the mists, and it's kind of born out of all the thoughts and experiences of the Sylvari that feed back into it and influence new Sylvari that are being born, right? But if you can then consider it as a part of the mist, then I suppose in some ways it's a bit like the other realms of the mist that we've seen. It's kind of an interesting way to look at it, and I quite like it. Obviously, we've got Gw2 here, who is a real living character on Tyria. She's alive. She was born from the dream a long time ago. All Sylvari come from this place, but Gw2 left it a long time ago, and yet she's here interacting with us and influencing us here. So there is some way to go back into the dream, and Gw2 will talk to us, like give us a really crappy explanation for that later about how exactly that happens. But so it is obvious that you can come back here. So I don't know. I quite like that idea, and I like the idea that later on in the plot we'll somehow have to return, particularly if you're a Sylvari character. There is kind of a big moment.
Poison. Must be close now.
Okay, sure. There is a kind of a big moment in the plot later where you will see that we kind of do something really weird that could be a part of the dream, or it could be something else, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So anyway, we can speak to her now. She's going to wait. She says, this poison spreads hatred and anger. We must fight it. Okay, who's caused it? An evil group called the Nightmare Court. They wish to harm the sleepers. Trust me, sapling, all will be made clear to you very soon. Okay, so if you guys are a little bit confused here, if you haven't played Sylvari or you haven't even played the game, don't worry, it's supposed to be kind of confusing at this point. Okay, why are they attacking the dream? Because the dream shapes us all before we awaken, just as it is now shaping you. A darkness within it takes root in our own hearts and becomes a lasting shadow there. Interesting. What should I do? Be brave. Prepare for battle. When you face the darkness, remember that you're not alone. Sure. Okay. What can I do now? Okay, no, that's the same thing. Right, so we're going to move on up and see what else we find. So there's some script here too. I believe we've met the script. I'm almost positive we've met the script. They were fighting a destruction golem, but they're kind of the spirits again, so they're just kind of replicas of Tyria's real self that we can't really interact with. However, there's Nightmare Hound thing we can attack, so there are some violent things, but the golem wasn't fighting it back. That was kind of weird seeing that, actually.
The poison is at its strongest in the clearing beyond. Have courage.
Okay, so this moment here where Keith just ran across that bridge.
Keith's gone to fight the Nightmare Beast. I'm sure she could use you there.
Hello, Blawless. You sound like someone we'll meet later. You better hurry. They went already over the bridge. I'm sure they need you. Sure, I'm on my... This little moment here, because the game's kind of a few months down the line now, there's not so many people in tutorial zones. So this is the equivalent of standing at the entrance to the garrison or standing at the entrance to Barradin's crypt. Like, if there were already people doing the kind of final event stuff in there already, this bridge would be closed. We wouldn't be able to travel across it and we'd have to wait. And that's kind of the way that this works, but because no one else is here, it just triggered for us straight away, which I suppose is kind of sad. But yeah, so there's some big evil here that's infected the dream that we need to deal with. First of all, there's loads of Nightmare Hounds that we should fight. This is our first dynamic event. This is kind of them teaching us how these work. I don't think it really works as well as the tutorial zone in as a human around Shaymore and stuff. Like, this is so much quicker. Like, I almost felt like, well, before the game came out, right, a lot of us wanted so in the first game there was something called Pre-Searing Ascalon, which was this kind of game within a game. Like, it existed 2 years before the events of all of Guild Wars Prophecies, and you could just hang out there and stay for a long time, and then you reached this certain point in the plot and you could never go back, right? It was like a staging ground. It was a bit like the tutorial zones for this game. And before Guild Wars 2 came out, a lot of us were talking, I remember, on the forums about, oh, what do you think they're going to do for the tutorial zones? And I think a lot of us were hoping there was going to be something like Pre-Searing, and a lot of people then were saying, oh, it should definitely be the dream. But ArenaNet had dropped kind of hints, and we'd seen in the early demos that there was a different tutorial for Shaymore as humans. So I kind of thought that they would never do the dream. So I was really shocked actually when it turned out they did do the dream, and you do start out in the dream as a Sylvari. But then it's nothing like I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a lot like Pre-Searing Ascalon, but instead it's just this really quick like romp through this area, and then that's it, and we're done. Anyway, Kate's here with us. We're fighting these Nightmare Hounds, sinister Nightmare Hounds. The other day I was doing my Slayer achievements on my account. Actually, I'll show you Slayer. I've been doing these, and one of them that I haven't done, Giants I haven't done, because that's just ridiculous, but one, and Minotaurs I haven't, but the other one I haven't done is Plant Slayer, and this one is like ridiculous because the only real plants you can kill, you need to score 1,000 to finish the achievement track, right? This is really annoying because the only things you can really kill are oak hearts or some things like these hounds. The ones in the real world you can kill for credit, but they're kind of rare and kind of annoying to kill. They don't respawn that fast, right? And they're usually accompanied by other Sylvari, so they're really spread out and they're a pain in the ass. So I actually, a while ago when I was doing my Slayer, came here hoping that I could just kill these things for credit for the Plant Slayer, but it doesn't work. So I wish I had some advice or some interesting anecdote for you guys about staying here in the dream, but there really is no reason. There's nothing to do here. Also, a little tip as well that I found out pretty recently since I've started doing PvP. If you have someone on your friends list and you don't want to do the tutorial zone for something, you can have them go into a PvP match and then right click on their portrait and select join in PvP, and that will let you skip straight out of the tutorial zone. It also means you'll leave the tutorial zone without getting your starter equipment or hitting level 2 instantly, so you can kind of explore Tyria on minimum experience and stuff, which is pretty fun. But obviously I'd never skip it for the LP, because we got this bastard to kill.
The poison has taken form. Quickly, destroy it while we can.
So yeah, once again, it's a tutorial zone. It ends with a pretty awesome boss fight. I wonder how long they spent making the boss fights here in the game, because the other big boss fights you find in this game, there's one in the final dungeon in the explorable version. There's one in the final dungeon in the... Well, I suppose there's quite a few in the dungeons, actually, to tell you the truth. There's quite a few big bosses. But otherwise, they just kind of reuse these bosses from the tutorial zones and added 2 dragons. But yeah, this guy is the shadow of the dragon. This is supposed to be a vision that we and Keith are seeing. And the story's going to kind of put a twist on this and make out that only Keith and I saw this. Like, we were the only 2 Sylvari to actually experience this fight and this vision. Even though, in truth, obviously, loads of other players could be fighting this thing with me. So just kind of bear that in mind, because we're going to be kind of... You're going to see that when we come out into the real world, we're treated as like this prodigal Sylvari that's like super special and inherently awesome because we've seen crazy stuff in our dream. And this is kind of that moment. So this shadow of the dragon. We're a Sylvari. We don't know much about Tyria, full stop, let alone anything about dragons or what this could mean. But this has somehow infected the dream. And Kaith from the real world has managed to travel here in full corporal form, not even like as a spirit as we first saw her, to fight it, which is interesting. And as I say, we'll hear how she did that. It's a pretty simple fight. I don't think you can really lose it. I've never taken much damage from this thing. Just keep hitting it with your massive blasts of 6 and 7 damage, and down it goes.
The dream is safe from this poison, thanks to you. We'll see each other again in the waking world.
I think I'm going to have to turn dialogue volume up because I could barely hear that. So we go. We kill the shadow of the dragon, and we are born into Tyria proper.
Where am I?
Naked, no
I was
less.
fighting a great evil. Are we safe? Kaith? Where is Kaith?
Steady, sapling. You just woke. You were calling out in your dream. Kaith was just here, but she had to go speak to the Pale Tree.
She and I fought side by side against a poison in the dream. I saw the shadow of a terrible dragon, and I felt the dream call upon me to defeat it.
By the tree. A wild hunt so soon, and such a momentous task. To be a valiant of the wild hunt is a difficult charge. Bear this calling with pride.
I will. But how do I begin? One does not simply awaken and rush off to face a dragon.
You start here in our forest. There were others hurt in the dream. They could use your help. Besides, it'll be fine training for a new valiant.
So something you might have missed when you played the game for yourself is that...
It's obvious to me. Why else would we have started awakening if it weren't to fight dragons?
Humans have a concept called coincidence. It means two events that appear related but are not.
Then why do I feel the call
chapter
to
ends,
fight them
another
and
begins.
their creations?
Humans have another concept called mystery.
Yes, I'm sure we do. Yeah, so you might have missed something actually when you played. And that's that when you were born as a Sylvari, you were kind of a part of a generation of other Sylvari that were born. And for some reason we appear naked when we finish that, and it like won't go away unless you log out and log back in. I don't know why. I mean, we've got our armor on. And actually you can then therefore go off and see all of these kind of wounded Sylvari. I believe this might be one of them straight away. No, it wasn't at all. Please excuse me if I seem upset. I finished a lesson with my mentor and we parted on bad terms. What happened? He suggests I stop pursuing the elementalist path and switch to a thief training. Why would he do that? Apparently I have great prowess with light blades, but I don't want to be a thief. I want to use magic. If magic makes you happy, don't give up. I think that's obviously a comment on the fact that elementalists in this game can use daggers. And I suppose that's ArenaNet trying to say, hey look, there's diversity within our professions. And what I find most funny is she's wielding a hammer, like, which has got nothing to do with thieves or elementalists or magic. But hey, there we go. There's this guy here, Amenda Ceramon, who we can speak to. He says, how may I be of service to you, Valiant? And we say, okay, you're Amenda. What do Amendas do? We take care of newly awakened Sylvari. We also tend the sick or the injured. Chief among us is Menda Avelia in Astorea. So Astorea is a little village we're in. This is kind of like the Shaymore, but in truth it's a lot less grand than Shaymore and probably all the other little villages and things that come straight out of your tutorial zone in the other races. But still, this is Astorea. There's some interesting stuff to hear here. Obviously something's going on with the dream to the point now where they have these menders who help newly awakened Sylvari that come out sick and injured, and obviously that's not a good sign. Something's going on. For some reason the dream's becoming infected, and we will learn why as we go forward. What was it while I dreamt? Where was I while I dreamt, sorry, before I awoke? Look up, Valiant. Do you see this blue fruit? When you awoke, you were lowered from the boughs by the pale tree. This is not something we didn't see. We just saw ourselves fight the dragon. But then we were born into Tyria, and the idea is we came from these blue fruits. So it's kind of interesting, actually, to think behind those are, like, unborn Sylvari somehow. We're born fully grown, so there are just... it might be a bit morbid, but I really wonder what would happen if we just kind of cut that open and saw what came out. But yeah, so this is in the boughs of something called the Pale Tree, which is a massive, massive tree, which we're only seeing a tiny portion of here. We'll see more of it later on. All the Sylvari are being born from, and it was under this tree, and it was actually while this tree grew that Ventari, that centaur we saw earlier, kind of lived near it and wrote his tablets, and it influenced the tree which the Sylvari are born from, which therefore influenced the Sylvari. So this is where we just were. We got lowered to the ground from here. You mentioned something called a wild hunt. What does that even mean? A wild hunt is an important purpose given to very few Sylvari by the Dream of Dreams. Are all newly awakened Sylvari called to a wild hunt? Not at all. It's rare to be awakened with one, much less a prominent hunt as yours. You are quite exceptional. So, I don't know whether I really like this, but we've done nothing to earn it whatsoever, but all of a sudden we're the special hero straight away from the office of Sylvari because, hey, that's just the way it rolls. We were born and we were special, and we get to be special for the rest of the game. You're special, everyone, so... yeah, enjoy that. In my dream, I saw two distinct images, a white stag and a dragon. What do they mean? Dream images may be literal or symbolic. You should seek out the firstborn, who have experience interpreting these images. So in a weird way, we kind of have two wild hunts, actually. We've got one that was that choice we made at character creation, which I'll talk to you more about later. That's what the white stag was. And the other is the dragon, which everybody's going to get, and is kind of the main wild hunt of the game, I suppose, if you want to call it that. So there's some other saplings here, other people that have just been born. I believe one of them is injured here. There's a teacher who kind of hangs about here and teaches the newly born Sylvari. We got another sapling here, in pretty cool armor nonetheless. We got this guy here, Riolon, who says it's absurd how we're expected to relate to other races when we're so different. We have a horrible disadvantage. What do you mean? Oh no, I didn't mean to say goodbye to you. What do you mean? We're closely related to vegetation than the other races' interior. We can never experience their kinds of sicknesses or death or things like hair. Well, we have hair too. It's not the same. Our hair is flora. We can learn about others, but we cannot know them like they know each other. I feel out of place in this world. We feel what they feel, and that's enough. Well, no, I quite like that dialogue, actually, because it does show that the Sylvari is supposed to be quite different. There was a lot of hype before the game came out about, ooh, the Sylvari are a totally unique, interesting fantasy race that we've never seen before. And I think for the most part, ArenaNet did pretty good at making plant people. For a long time, there was just kind of this, oh, the Sylvari are elves. And I do believe that they feel that archetype, but they have come into their own, and I think people do see them as something quite distinct and separate now that the game's out, which is good, which is what we all hoped for. There's this next person here, Zedrionia, who says, "You're not a Nightbloom, are you? Thorns, those evasive, sneaky beasts make me insane. Why can't they just give a straight answer? You're a Noon, aren't you?" That's obvious, I don't see any purpose to sneaking around a bush. Just get in there and hack it down. That's what a weapon is for. Yeah, you're definitely a Noon Bloom. So as I said, depending on the time of day we were born, it changes our personalities to an extent, which is quite cool. Here's the weak person, I'm sure. Oh, no. We will see someone that was injured coming out of the pale tree. I'm sure we will. I remember seeing someone. Anyway, there's a requisitioner here who says, freshly awakened Sylvari. Welcome to Tyria, sapling. I'm a member of the Wardens, the protective guard for our homeland here in the Grove. I'm here to provide you with equipment. Oh, good. In my dream, I had a certain attire. I have just a thing for you. Here, take this. Now go speak with Warden Ariandel down the path to your left. She'll help you get oriented. Thank you very much. So there we go. Now we get our armor. And we're looking good and lovely, and we've got a warhorn that we can equip too, which will give us some more skills. So she was just talking about our home and how it's defended by the Wardens. I got some to say on the Wardens actually before this episode's up, but their home, where is their home? You might be wondering. It's in the Tarnished Coast. This is the Tarnished Coast here. It was a pretty interesting region of Guild Wars 1. I'm hesitant to say my favourite because I always say shit's my favourite, but it was a good region in Guild Wars 1. It was full of dinosaurs and jungle and stuff. The dinosaurs 250 years later are gone, sadly, but it is home now to the Sylvari that have been born from this massive tree that sprouted up here since the Tarnished Coast we knew 250 years ago. Also, it's significant because here, very close, is where the Astorea live. Very close. And we'll learn a lot about how the Astorea influenced the Sylvari as the Sylvari were being born into the world too. So it's a pretty interesting place. It's some of the most visually stunning areas in the game, I think. They did really good with the colours and stuff here. We all know ArenaNet's environments are pretty awesome, actually, in this game, so it shouldn't come as too much as a shock. Anyway, here's the Warden we wanted to speak to, who gives us basic tips. We've heard something like this already twice before, but I'm going to let it play.
Seek guidance from those who make their homes here, and help them in their time of need. The path ahead is yours to choose. As you journey outward, you'll encounter amazing Asuran waypoints that, for a small fee, allow you to rapidly traverse the land. I'm excited for you. You'll find challenges out there that will help you grow and increase your skill. Enjoy the adventure.
Oh, I will. So their confirmation again, I can't remember whether I spoke about it before, it's been a few months, but confirmation that the waypoints that we're seeing are inventions by the Astoreans. They're actually an in-lore, real in-universe thing, which is curious to me because then the devs never go to any lengths to explain why we don't use these in, you know, pivotal battles and stuff against the Elder Dragons. But hey, whatever. So we've got that. We will explore more of Caledon Forest in this really awesome looking place later. But first we're going to head into the Grove. We're actually going to go to the tree as close as we possibly can, right underneath it. And that's a place called the Grove in the game. It's pretty cool. It's deceptively small. And by that I mean when you look at it on a map, well, I don't know, it's pretty big anyway. But when you look at the Grove on the map, I'll show you in a second, it looks really big, and there's obviously a lot of areas that the devs kind of designed for the Grove that, for whatever reason, we can't actually go to in-game. So if I press M here, this is where we just were. There's all these paths here, so we walked through a portal here, and now we've suddenly appeared all the way down here, right? There's all these paths, like, that are clearly mapped out, but for some reason we can't travel on, which is kind of weird. So that's all there on the map. I don't know whether that was at one point designed for the game. You can kind of see the hints of a road there, but it's now not there. We've also got this whole place here called Necrolith Bay, which is, they've even gone so far as to name this region. You can't travel to any of this, none of that area there. Another region here, the Sea Riders Gate, you can't travel to any of that at all. They did a content update called South Sun quite recently, which added this island, and I thought there was a good chance that we'd be able to go to the Sea Riders Gate and then travel up to that island, but they didn't do that at all. So, and you excuse that crappy arrow. There's also all this stuff here. I think you can go to the Quaestor's Terrace, but all this stuff around here that is on the map, like, you cannot travel to whatsoever. All we get for the Grove is this small section in the middle, but it's pretty cool because it's a heavily layered capital city. So think of this as being like Divinity's Reach, except instead of spread over a large area, instead it's got a lot of ups and downs. Now, I don't mean you can travel around on those leaves, though that would be really awesome all the way up there, but there is a lot of verticality to this map, which is pretty awesome. In fact, why don't we start off by having a quick look at this vista over here, and then we'll go explore underneath the tree where we've got to. Oh, this is an actual jumping puzzle vista. I didn't realise. Okay, so we're going to climb up this tree. I think vistas, honestly, people don't like jumping puzzles, and no, I'm fine with that. But I think vistas, honestly, were one of the best things that they added to the game. Just because there'd be so much less to do in the maps, and particularly the cities. I mean, what would there be after that? Just freaking waypoints and points of interest. Yeah, it'd be pretty boring. So anyway, we've got a vista here to have a quick look at the Grove. Hopefully it will give us a nice shot of the Grove itself, and not just these little paths. You can see some of these kind of weird leafy windows that the Sylvari have got. They've got a really quite nice aesthetic going on with them, honestly. Like, you see a lot of their houses are made out of plants and things, which actually, to me, a lot of their houses look like the same kind of houses that were made of plants in this region we saw 250 years ago, back in Guild Wars 1. And back then we heard that they'd been made by another race of things called the Druids, which mysteriously disappeared from the planet, and now all of a sudden we have the Sylvari. So there's a lot of ideas that maybe the Sylvaris are the Druids that we heard about in the first game, which would be interesting, but there's no confirmation there, and I'm not necessarily going to stand by that, but yeah. So anyway, that's the tree. It's pretty big. It's much bigger than it was when we saw it in Guild Wars 1. We could stand on this exact spot in the first game. I ended my LP of the first game pretty much before Beyond came out on this spot, basically. It ended right here with Ventari the Centaur while he was alive and a small sapling of a tree on like a nice little secluded area surrounded by water. The Grove does still have water with it. Why is my marker saying to go all the way up there? Have I just skipped something? Hold on. I think I may have skipped speaking to someone when I was supposed to speak to someone in Caledon Forest before going into the Grove. Oh god, yeah, I've got to do a heart. I forgot about that completely. Okay, do you know what? We'll call the episode there then, because I'm not going to go off and do a heart up in Caledon Forest. We'll do a heart, and then we'll go do our tour of the Grove and stuff, guys. Thanks very much for watching. As I said, I really want the LP to come back as a daily thing. I took that big long break from it. I guess I got a little bit put off by various things, which I will talk about as we go forward with the LP in the future. I used to be really consistent with videos. You know, I went a long time doing a video a day, more than one video a day, and I really don't like where the channel got to recently, where I was like trying to do videos and then I never went through with it, and then I waited, and then so I've had a good while off now, about 2 months I'd say, where I haven't really done much in the way of videos, and now I'm pretty much ready to come back. You know, I've really missed being on YouTube and not having you guys' comments to read and stuff. So yeah, hopefully it will be back to normal from now on. And as I say, it will mostly be the Guild Wars 2 Let's Play. I've got some other small ideas for videos though. So thanks very much for watching, guys. And yeah, thanks, and I will see you next time. And we'll be waving on the Sylvari, unless there's another emote. I know we were saluting on the char. Sylvari look a bit weird saluting. But anyway, I'll see you guys next time.